So Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 might be the latest review I've ever done. I know it's a super late review, but that's because I actually had to buy the game, play it in my free time after work, and really just fully experience this one just like most of you. It is a long game, there is a lot to do, and I mean, I even ended up getting influenza A or whatever the hell has been going around, kind of just like a horrible thing when it came to editing, but great for gaming. So if you're still on the fence about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, this is my take from the perspective of just an average gamer who's not paid and not given any early access here for this one. So here's the review. I was seriously not ready for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I went into this game a little worried because I heard great things about that first game. But honestly, guys, I just could not get past the beginning and just how slow the whole intro was. And I almost fell victim to this again in the beginning of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. But thankfully, I pushed through it, and my god, I am just so glad that I did. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a blast from the past. It gives that old school Skyrim / Morrowind feel. It gives you Witcher 3 level depth, and honestly, it has just cemented itself as one of the best RPGs I think I've ever played. Quick disclaimer, this game is not for everyone. It does have some quirks to it. It's got some cons that I'm going to be pointing out in this review. And also, it has been out for like 2 weeks or so, and as a man who works full time, this one took a while to get through. I mean, I practically spent 40 hours in just that first area of the game. So sorry again if it's late, but I'll be bringing on that whole working class peasant perspective on this one for you all. Also, I'll be avoiding spoilers as much as possible because seriously guys, the story is simply just that good. First off, you can't talk about this game without talking about the story. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a realistic open world LARPing simulator. This is a historic world, there's no dragons or monsters here, and it's taking place during 1403 in the Kingdom of Bohemia, or technically the modern day Czech Republic. The game technically picks up after the first, which by the way, the game does a great job of kind of just continuing and showing you kind of like flashbacks so that you understand what's happened in the first game. So you technically don't need to play that first one to understand what's going on. You play as Henry of Skalitz, a blacksmith's son, still on a quest for vengeance after his family is murdered. You're basically the bodyguard and friend of Sir Hans Capon, an annoying, spoiled royal who's delivering a letter to von Bergov regarding a much larger war against Sigismund. Now, during the whole tutorial, you'll learn the combat, you'll learn this dice game, which is, by the way, really addicting, and you'll learn some stealth. You'll predictably get attacked and escape, but you're suffering a fall that resets your leveled up, skilled Henry from being a badass into a concussed blank slate that needs to relearn everything. After helping out and saving Bozina, an herbalist in the woods, you and Sir Hans will be heading to Trotsky Castle only to be turned away because honestly, you guys look and smell like shit, so they don't believe you. You end up at a tavern, get into a fight, and eventually have a fallout with Hans, who really deserved it honestly by then, only to just part ways and find your own way to this wedding where you're going to try to speak to von Bergov. Without spoilers, the wedding section actually opens a lot of the story, guys, and it took me, like I said, about 40 hours just to get there. I mean, I was just so sidetracked with the great side missions and things to do. The main quests are really cinematic, and honestly, they push that story forward despite some long dialogue. And I mean, seriously though, I was really just hooked on the main story as soon as I got to the wedding. I just wanted to know what was going to happen next because there's just so many twists and so many betrayals that kind of like open up in the game. I mentioned side missions, which are seriously huge in this game. Your Henry, again, is a blank slate, and you could pick up work and quests to get better at things. Side missions in the games are honestly just so fleshed out and are rarely just help me kill these bandits, right? And if they are just help me kill these bandits, don't worry, there are some twists, right, about these bandits and what's going on and maybe why they're attacking. Missions can basically intertwine and affect your relationships with people later on, and there's really good rewards. Almost every action that you take in the game helps make your Henry better, which I'll talk about the whole leveling aspect a little later. But again, side quests in this game, despite there being just so many, I don't think you should skip them, seriously. They offer a lot of benefit. They're not a waste of time. I mean, you can squash a rivalry between two towns. You save a couple and kind of discover like a dark past on why they were attacked. You catch a serial killer. You can even befriend and get trashed with the Cumans. Seriously, guys, I mean, that one's crazy. Getting trashed and just being just drunk farting everywhere. But yeah, that's a wild mission. But yeah, all of these side quests, guys, they're just seriously worth it. I think you're going to want to at least knock out as many as you can before hitting the main missions, which thankfully, again, it does warn you that you kind of won't be back for a while. So finish up what you can. So I do appreciate that. But you can always come back and complete what you missed, thankfully. I think you're only locked out of a couple permanently, if I remember correct. But again, there's some main mission dialogue that comes into play, and it does make the whole world feel really alive, and it basically makes it feel like everyone's kind of reacting to your actions. So they're not a waste of time here, trust me. Speaking of the world and the life here, I mean, I think the open world is just seriously breathtaking. There are secret camps, you've got characters and areas to find, treasure to dig up, bandits to fight. Even just fast traveling can get you into like random events, and sometimes you'll get ambushed by bandits, meaning you're gonna have to be ready for this at all times. Each town feels full of life, it's got its own charm, especially one of the much larger, insane spectacle cities, Kuttenberg later on, guys. That one is wild, seriously. The cities have just so much life in them. People get drunk, they fight, the stores open and close, people go to sleep. I mean, if you're walking around at night, the guards think you're suspicious because who the hell's walking around 2 a.m. when everything's closed? Speaking of the guards, the whole crime system is insane here. I mean, you can't just walk into a place and rob them like in the Bethesda games during broad daylight, and if no one's there, you're good. Not only do you kind of get spotted here and you have to avoid being spotted, but if anyone, seriously, if anyone is nearby and just kind of witnesses you going into someone's house or kind of being in that area, and then someone later notices that shit's missing, they put the puzzle together and they assume it was you because you were the last one there, just like in real life. I will say that's a little frustrating at times because, I mean, I had a side mission where I went a little crazy. I robbed just almost every gear, every sword, got about a 10K bounty on me. But I mean, eventually that does go away after a week of just like playing in the game. So, go to sleep, do some side missions, leave, and be really careful around that town. But I mean, honestly, I can't tell you guys who saw me or how I even got caught up, but it is flesh the hell out. You could try to talk your way out of it. You could take the punishment, or you could fight the guards. And I mean, sometimes depending on your crime, the punishment is literally death, right? So if you walk into someone's home or room, they'll literally follow you in and ask, "The hell are you doing in my house?" And then they'll lead you out. And on top of that, they'll go check. They'll be like, "I'm just going to make sure nothing's missing." Yeah, it's really alive. And I mean, anyone who's played kind of like the Bethesda games, I mean, just you can attest to just how easy it is to just walk into a place, ransack it in just broad daylight, and have the characters just go about their whole life, missing almost everything, sometimes even missing the clothes that they're wearing, right? It's such a step up here, and I really think it needs to be experienced. On top of that, something just like blacksmithing, it's got a whole mini game, potion crafting, whole mini game, even reading a book in the game, right, for skills is actually going to take you time to 100%. So you could spend 7-8 hours reading, and that's when you learn something. On top of that, your Henry does get hungry. He can get food poisoning if you're eating bad food. He'll start falling asleep if you don't sleep enough, and will even start to smell if you don't wash him, and people will definitely point it out. I mean, try stealthing when you smell like shit. It doesn't work. They will smell you in the area and go, "What the hell is that?" It can seem like a lot. It does probably seem overwhelming to kind of keep track of, but trust me, it's not that bad. It takes just a little getting used to. You kind of find food everywhere. I mean, I just sneak food from people's pots when they're not noticing and steal it. I've been caught a few times. I could talk my way out of it, right? I mean, we're all Christians here. No need for you to come near me for just wanting some food. And usually I'm able to persuade them to just look the other way. Anytime I see a bucket of water, I wash myself, right? And I've got enough soap on me for the clothes. So whenever there's a laundromat there, just wash the clothes. And whenever you see kind of like an inn, always makes sense to buy the room and try to haggle. Just because you'll be unlocking beds in different towns, and that gives you kind of that convenience for sleeping and saving, and just crafting here and there will actually level you up to where you can get easy lockpicks, you get high level swords, and multiple potions. Like I said, Henry here is a blank slate, so everything that you do will level him up, and it's going to give you perks. So I spent about 30 hours before realizing that I had these perks, guys, so I felt like a huge noob here. I was basically playing the game on hard mode. I think you just hit right bumper and you're just able to go to the next, kind of like mini side page or sub page within the player section. So don't make that mistake that I made, guys. But seriously, Everything makes him better, even if you fail. So try to persuade everyone with any persuasion skill checks. And I mean, you can even resolve things with no violence. If you're swinging around your sword and getting into fights, you get better at swordsmanship. If you pick everything up that you see like me and you're walking around encumbered until you find a merchant, you're leveling up like your strength and you're able to carry things more. I mean, it's all just so rewarding and worthwhile. I mean, you're literally getting that Morrowind or Skyrim vibe here, and I just love it, man. Combat's also refined from that last game. It is slow and realistic, so you are swinging from like the left, right, top, and bottom. But you unlock different combos, and then you're able to unlock a Master Strike through a side mission that really helps. I mean, at first, it was real frustrating, but it does get easier, and I think it does get more enjoyable as you level in the game. So not everything in the game is perfect. Like I said earlier, it is a difficult game to get into. I think the beginning was real frustrating for me due to the whole save system, which is something I'll go into more depth later. But yeah, I mean, basically I ventured out, I got my ass kicked a couple times by bandits, and I lost just hours of exploration. I ended up having to switch things up, and I started working for the blacksmith. And then I did some side missions nearby, eventually getting the hang of the game, and I was just hooked, guys. For an employed adult with not much time to game, it did feel like at times I didn't get a lot done within that 2 or 3 hours a night that I had. And I will say that's where it can be a little hard. I mean, some nights I stayed up on my Steam Deck, which, by the way, amazing performance on the Steam Deck, just like the PC game. I have just wildly good optimization during a time where developers don't really give a shit about optimizing games. But I mean, yeah, I lost a couple hours easily just exploring, smithing items, or just crafting potions. I do wish that they'd add some kind of quality of life perk maybe, or something to where you could basically auto craft something if you've mastered it. But I also do understand the need for us to make it ourselves. I mean, it is kind of like a night LARPing simulator. I crafted and constantly bought the whole save schnapps also so I can get around that save system, which another annoyance, at least for me. I worked around it, but if you ask me, I really don't think there should be a workaround. I mean, the fact that I was doing that tells me that it's an outdated and annoying friction that's there for the player. The autosaves are great when it comes to those mission points. I mean, you do kind of just get enough autosaves here and there. But I think in a game where the most random shit can happen to you, even if you're just fast traveling, it's just such a bummer to me that the only way to save is to sleep in your own bed, save and quit to the main menu, or use one of the save schnapp potion things. I did not run into an issue of not having save schnapps, right? But I do think it is annoying, and I don't blame anyone for modding their game to have saves. I'm a piece of shit that likes to save scum in games like this. I'm not ashamed, man. I will reload my save 30 times until I unlock a chest, which, by the way, lockpicking almost impossible on controller. I basically had to just connect my mouse to unlock the chest. There was just no way I was going to do that on controller. Which, another con for me is personally just the combat. It's just not as enjoyable. I mean, it's better, I think, than the first game, and I played a little bit of the first game. Again, not a lot, but I do get the whole realism aspect. But I would like just some more combos or something to kind of spice it up. Countering just turns into a constant counter battle. I don't know if the AI is bugged here, but they will just keep countering and counter your counter over and over and over until you're out of stamina. And I mean, early on, Henry basically takes on bandits like he just finished at an all-you-can-eat KFC, and you're running out of stamina so fast. It does get better though, especially if you do some side missions with mouse and learn that whole Master Strike, which another reason not to skip the side quests, guys. Seriously, do not skip them. But the Master Strike is great. I mean, it's a counter, and it can damage when you do that counter or kill enemies just sometimes with one shot. It basically put combat for me on easy mode, and it basically takes the game from being hard and kind of boring to honestly just a little more boring and just easy. The combat is not for everyone, and yeah, I did grow to enjoy it, but I can see why others might not. And one final thing I will point out here is the length. I mean, the game is huge, it's ambitious, and it's realistic. So much stuff just takes so much time to do. And for any gamers that are kind of like strapped on time, any dad gamers, man, I feel for you guys. And I really hope you could try to squeeze this game in because it's seriously worth it. To wrap up my whole review here, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is outstanding and just one-of-a-kind RPG night LARPing simulator. I mean, it's crazy. It's historic, it's huge, it's filled with things to do, meaningful side quests, an engaging story, and it's just full of cities that are practically alive. Every aspect of this game is just so detailed, even the dialogue and the random civilians. The game didn't get boring for me at all, and it just never ceased to make me go wow during my playthrough. I'm not done with everything yet, and I will be playing this one for a while. I just love how rewarding everything is, and how your Henry goes from like this peasant to basically a killing machine or silver tongue persuader. Rewarding us for failure is just another really awesome thing that they do here. My score for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is an easy 10 out of 10. I think this is the best thing that I've played this year. It's up there with Skyrim. It's up there with The Witcher 3 for me. And I feel like if GTA wasn't coming out this year, unless it gets delayed, this would seriously be game of the year. I mean, we're so early and things can change. But seriously, guys, this game is special and it deserves just 100%ing it. Warhorse Studios went ham with this one, guys. I think we need way more devs like this because you could see that passion that they put in just about every aspect of this game. It's an amazing achievement, and I think if you have the time, definitely don't skip out on this one. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you guys. Drop a like if you like that video, and hit the subscribe button so you're not missing another game review. Let me know what you think of this game if you've played it. I mean, am I hyping this one up as game of the year, or is it really that good? I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.